YouTube, how's it going? It's your boy Jordan back with another video here today with my boy Matt and Nate. This is going to be episode 2 of the What Man podcast. We are going to be talking mostly about Illinois basketball today. Then we're going to also talk a little bit about NBA just because the All-Star break's going on. It's going to be really hard to talk about NBA, but we're going to talk about NBA a little bit, and then we're going to get into 2 segments that we have planned for you. If you guys are on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you're on Instagram and TikTok, make sure you hit that follow button. It is much appreciated. And let's get right into it. First, let's get into Illinois basketball. Illinois played Wisconsin last night, 95-74. Illinois seemed pretty much a step behind all game. They trailed majority of the game, if not all game. Wisconsin seemed pretty scary to Illinois. Wisconsin shot 52.3% from the field as well as shot 41.7% behind the three, while Illinois only shot 33.3% from the field and 33.3% from the three. But ignoring the shot percentages led them in 3 different categories if you think about it: fouls, turnovers, and thankfully blocks. But Wisconsin out-rebounded us, had more assists and more steals. So guys, with the performance of the Wisconsin and the Michigan State game, how does Illinois recover from this? What do you guys think happens? What do you guys see them in March?
Yeah, I know after that UCLA game, I kind of got my hopes back up. It's Michigan State. I had my hopes picked up and crushed. I believe the word I used was disgusted, which I never use. I think after this game, I was just kind of numb. I thought going in that we had a chance, at least before the news that Merez Johnson was hurt. Once I knew that Merez Johnson was hurt, I thought we were fucked. Once I saw that Ivasic was going to be out, I thought we were really fucked, but I guess he came back in. I think injuries aside, there's still not really any excuses for this loss. I think, uh, I don't know. I mean, they shot 10 for 30 on threes. The fact that I'm looking at that and I'm like, that actually doesn't look that bad just goes to show you how bad they've been shooting from three. I actually didn't think that chucking up threes was the biggest issue in this game like it has been recently. I think a lot of it was turnovers. Your best player, Kasper Siakachonis, future lottery pick, has 7 turnovers. I mean, he had 4 already in the first like 12 minutes of the game. Didn't have a single one until halftime because he got benched. And coming out of the half, the very first play, we were lucky to have it at a 6-point game coming out of halftime, right? You can cut it to 4 3 points, and immediately within 5 seconds of the start of the second half, he turns the ball over and Wisconsin gets a wide open layup. So it's already an 8-point game. And it's just, can't have that from your best player. Obviously, it's going to happen to freshmen. I don't know. We just look totally outmatched here. John Tanji fucking cooked us. 9 for 15. Of course, he shot free throws because he's kind of a free throw merchant, but still a great player. He had 31 points. Stephen Crowell looked like Jackson Kohler out there. I mean, he did exactly what Jackson Kohler did. 3 for 3 from threes. I think that's like a season high. He had 20 points, 7 for 10. But yeah, so just hard to beat that. Turnovers were rough. We usually don't get out rebounded, but this game, I mean, we had 30 rebounds. We got out rebounded 39-30. So that doesn't usually happen. It seemed like Wisconsin was getting a lot of bounces going their way, like they'd miss it. Rebound would go long, just right into their hands. Got kind of unlucky there, but obviously that's not why they lost. Illinois was just outmatched. I give a lot of credit to Wisconsin. I think they're just better than us, and season's going down, and I just hope we can right the ship at some point. But we'll see. I'm numb.
Pretty much the same. I mean, they got completely outworked on the boards. I think a lot of our rebounding effort came from Rez, so that was a huge, huge blow because he was like one of the bright spots of the season that makes you excited to watch the game because he's electric. But I mean, I got some concerns with some like how the teams handling themselves. I don't know if that's on Brad or chemistry or what, but I mean, there's a lot of sickness going through the team. Ivasic had mono or whatever sickness he had. Then Trey White got sick. Um, and then, you know, I just don't get why they aren't like isolating or stepping away from the team until they get better. I mean, like the first game, Ivasic was out. They're like, Ivasic is out. And then people are saying, oh, he's sick. He's got mono. And then, the game starts and it cuts to him on the bench just chopping it up with his teammates. It's like, dude, go the fuck home. I mean, and then Trey White gets sick and he's out for a game. And then Ivisic is questionable because he's sick. And Brad's like, you know what, fuck it, let's play him anyways. And then apparently I heard a rumor that Jake Davis didn't play the second half because he was puking at halftime. Um, I wonder why, because he's sharing the court with Ivisic, who's sick, who's clearly not over whatever he has. So I just don't get how are we mishandling this that well. I heard another
Did
rumor
you hear
that
that Ivasic drove up? He didn't travel with the team. He drove up separately. Did you also hear
really
this?
did he? No, I did not. I didn't
Yeah.
hear that. Okay,
Yeah.
so again,
Sorry.
like,
Go
why
on.
doesn't Brad just tell him to stay home? Like, he's obviously not completely better. Um, Players are getting sick. I mean, I'm not like you gotta like 2 weeks ice. You gotta isolate. Don't even leave your room for weeks. But I mean, how they're handling it is clearly not right. I also like to point out that I think Trey White and Brad Underwood. There's a rumor that they got into like a huge fight at practice. A huge fight at practice, and what I heard was that Trey White was it's like, oh man, like I don't got to listen to you, and Brad was like, okay, well now I'm not going to play you, and that's why he didn't play the game before this one was at Michigan State. So then come to this game, they're shorthanded. He's got to play him. He really didn't look that great out there, to be honest. But I was talking to my coworkers about this, and we had different opinions. So I want to see what you guys think. But I think that it's got to come from coaching that he's got to right the situation. Whether he's in the right or wrong, you got to take that player and sit him down and be like, hey, um, let's straighten this away and put this aside for the betterment of the team. And my coworkers are saying, no, Trey White's got to, know that Brad's going to coach him hard because that's Brad's coaching style. Um, I don't think that's true. I think at some point as a coach, you got to be the bigger person. These are just kids, they're college kids. You got to step up and be the bigger person and say, all right, let's chat this out. Let's work it out. He's got to be the person to step up and do that. So I want to know what you guys think about that.
So for me, I think it's mostly based on the player. I don't know if you guys saw the recent clip about Rick Pitino. He basically was telling his kids in the locker room, like, hey, how did y'all grow up this soft to be this mentally soft that when you have to face adversity, you just crumble up and just give up? And like, basically, I believe that if you want to be coached hard, you should be at a place to be coached hard and then take that advice in and be coachable. All right. You shouldn't just be teachable. You should be coachable. And I think a lot of kids just don't want to be coachable. They just want to, they think they know it all. They think they can do everything that themselves, and they think that they know the game of basketball better than other people. So I truly believe that if you can't take it, then, don't take it. I mean, it's just really truly up to the player and their mentality.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird because I remember seeing something how Trey White wanted to come here because he wanted to be coached hard by a coach like Brad Underwood. Obviously, he hasn't been coaching as hard as he was in the past, but um, I don't know. I think this game Trey White kind of showed why that he was sitting on the bench, even though he was kind of healthy. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. It should be up to Brad, but maybe it was up to Brad before they even got in a fight, and that's why his ass was sitting on the bench because he wasn't really helping the team. If that makes any sense. Like I've said this before, like Trey White when he had that stretch of games, it was like against Indiana, against Oregon, maybe Penn State. He had 20 points like 3 games in a row, and it's because he was letting the game come to him. He was scoring his points from offensive rebounds, from cutting to the basket, stuff like that, finding a way to get open off the ball. He's forcing it with ISO ball, chucking up threes, trying to back people down. He just doesn't do very well, and so I think that's why he got sat on the bench in the first place because he was kind of going away from what was getting him his points and making him show his impact in the first place. So that caused Brad to seat him, and then he blew up in his face. But he was like, "Man, I was sitting your ass on the bench not because of your attitude, but because you were not playing very well." So that's kind of my take on the situation.
But regardless of like the coaching situation and things like that, what do you guys see them in March? I mean, I remember our last broadcast we talked about, seeing the rest of their games. We thought they're going to be 3-3, and now those three people that we thought were going to beat have now become losses. So now, what do you guys think?
Well, I think famous last words. I'm not worried about Michigan State, and then they come out and kick the shit out of us. But I have zero confidence going to any of the games. I think before we said 4-2, you definitely lose to Michigan and Duke. Now I'm thinking the only game we're probably going to win is Iowa, and I don't even want to say I'm confident in that. But I think the real question is, uh, do we make the tournament if you lose every game except for Iowa? And I think just because of their quad one wins that they stacked up at the beginning of the year, I think they do make it as like a low seed, maybe like an 8 or 9 seed. But if you lose out, I don't know, you're probably a bubble team, probably don't make it. If you lose out and then like get knocked in the first round of the Big Ten tournament, yeah, you're probably fucked. But I think if you beat Iowa, maybe you get a win in the Big Ten tournament. I think you're probably pretty much a lock to get in. I don't know how much hope I have in the tournament, but for the future, I think it looks good. I mean, Ivasic is probably going to stay. Um, Mraz is probably going to stay. He's got to be happy with the playing time he started getting, here mid-season. Um, DGL, I hope he stays. I don't know though, but because he kind of hasn't been playing as much, especially with the team um, being short, and he's still not playing that much. So I guess I could see him going somewhere else to get a bigger role. I think this team is set up. I think this is sort of like a rebuilding year. I think if you told me at the beginning of the year this is going to be an up and down team, 9-8 in conference play, probably making the tournament, I would have told you, yeah, like that makes sense. So I think it's sort of a rebuilding year. I think a lot of these guys are going to stay. Compared to last year where you had 2 guys stay in 1 redshirt. I think Kylan's probably going to stay too. So we'll see what they can build off that, but
Yeah, I mean, I think the number one priority going forward is Brad needs to get on his knees and beg Trey Gibbs Longhorn to fucking stay, because I don't know. There's no way that Trey Gibbs Longhorn could have had that second half against Nebraska, then got put on the bench for Humberkaus, only to lose that game in overtime. Then him riding the ship, giving him minutes against Ohio State, have Trey Gibbs Longhorn leading the charge, giving us that momentum boost to take over that game and win, only to have him get sick and then get his ass put on the bench. Like, it doesn't make sense why he would stop getting minutes just because he got sick. I really don't understand that, because I think it's known that Gibbs Longhorn was healthy for those games against UCLA and Michigan State where he wasn't getting any playing time, and it's like now you give him the playing time and he shows out. He has 3 offensive rebounds. He shoots 7 to 12 on the field, 3 for 7 on threes, 17 points. It's like it should have been happening from the start. It should be the top priority to make sure that he doesn't transfer. I think obviously Mraz, Johnson, Ivasic need to be on them to stay. Will Riley and KJ I think are gone, but get those 3 back. I guess I'd like to have Boswell back, but I think your main 3, you should make your core Gibbs Longhorn, Ivasic, and Mraz Johnson. And then not only that, I think at this point, I think that this season, I mean, there's obviously been some major red flags about Brad's in-game coaching in seasons past. You have the Loyola game, the Chattanooga game, which doesn't get talked about enough because we won, but we should have lost that game. The Chattanooga game, that's the 2022 NCAA tournament. You have the collapse of the 2023 season. Then last year against UConn with the 30-0 run. So there's been plenty of red flags, and I think this year is just all those red flags combined into one. His refusal to move away from the 3-point shot, his stubbornness with rotations and not playing certain guys. So I think that not only will he have to get some solid veterans in the transfer portal, I think that he needs to do some cleaning up of the assistant coaching staff, because he needs someone that's an X's and O's guy, not someone that's going to be in his ear telling him to have the team keep shooting these threes. I think the coaching staff needs a revamp. Obviously, you should keep Antigua because that's a recruiting guy. Probably Jeff Alexander, but move away from Tyler Underwood. I don't understand how you can put him in a top tier assistant coaching position and expect things to go right, especially with a young team, with a young brand new team. I don't think that's a recipe for success. I trust Whitman and Brad Underwood to recognize that. So I still think there's hope for the future.
All right, so let's get into the NBA. So unfortunately, the All-Star break happened. Yes, I say it unfortunately because nobody likes watching the All-Star break. It's terrible. But now NBA starts again. NBA game tonight versus the Hornets. Lakers versus Hornets. Last time that they met, AD and Max Christie were on the team. Lakers won at that time, 112 to 107 as well. Lakers going into this game were 32-20. So currently, my question is, since they're fifth in the West, what do you guys think about them? I mean, they have a tough schedule ahead of them. They have the Trailblazers, the Nuggets, the Mavs, Timberwolves, and Clippers twice. So what do we think about the Lakers? And where do you think they're going to be standing at?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be real. If you can't beat the fucking Hornets and the Blazers, you don't even deserve to be in the fucking play-in because those teams are pretty ass. I guess the Blazers are kind of fun. Like I know that I guess Scoot Henderson was looking like the worst draft pick of all time, and now he's looking kind of competent. So I mean, you got Anthony Simons, Jeremy Grant. I mean, it's like, oh, I mean, they're not that good, but that's a fun little that's a fun little upstart team. But you still should beat them. I mean, if you want to have any sort of playoff hopes. Nuggets, they're probably cooked because the Lakers just can't beat the Nuggets. Mavericks, if there's no AD, I feel like the Lakers could beat them. Luka's gonna want to bust the shit out of them too. Like that's gonna be fucking ugly. But yeah, I think the Lakers can avoid that play-in spot. Probably, I could see them staying around that 4 or 5 seed. I do think that their ceiling is probably like the conference finals, like their ceiling. I don't really see them getting into the finals unless they get like a super favorable draw. But yeah, no, they better kick the shit out of the Hornets, or else I'd be concerned if I were a Lakers fan.
Yeah, pretty much the same. The Hornets are complete buns. I think the Hornets have to make some sort of decision coming up soon with LaMelo, um, because you got like a guy going into his prime, looking like he could, looking like he could have like an all-time career, and you're sitting at the bottom of the East. It's a little embarrassing. So I think they either need to move on, or they need to get more serious about building around him because that dude's like he's for real that good. And I think he's like he takes the most shots per game I think in the NBA, which is pretty crazy. But I don't think I could even name their entire starting lineup because they just have nobody around him. So they need to figure it out. I don't know what they're doing.
I mean,
They
the
need to figure
Hornets,
it out.
they're perpetually ass. Like, I mean, think about it. Like, since we were kids, how many years have they had? How many times do you remember them having a top 5 draft pick? How many years has this team like? I think the best they've done since we've been fucking alive is like an 8 seed. Like, how's that? How do you have all like this many good draft picks in a row and you still fucking suck? You got Lamelo. Yeah, you got Lamelo Ball, great player. I mean, Brandon Miller looks all right. I mean, Miles Bridges. I mean, when he's not beating his girlfriend, he seems to be a pretty good player. Like, I mean, how is the team this bad? I don't
We're making
understand.
shitty music.
Yeah, speaking of the
I listen to
Hornets,
that shit every
if
day.
this gives you any idea how ass the Hornets are, wasn't LiAngelo Ball on that team at one point, or at least the G League team? If he is on your team for any reason, your team is probably pretty fucking ass. Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah, they need to figure it out. They need
Yeah.
to figure it out. I don't know. I think the Lakers pretty much agree with Matt. I mean, I think they got to win these next couple games. I think Luka's got to show that he can play on this new team. All right, so we're gonna go around here and each throw our own pick into the parlay. So my first one is Trae Young over 27.5 points. Um, Trae Young didn't make the All-Star game, and he seemed pretty upset about it. I think he's going to go on a little bit of a revenge tour. I mean, the Hawks season is pretty much cooked. I think it's just going to be Trae Young time there. He's going to try to prove why he's an All-Star. So give me his over on points.
I usually don't do unders because unders are kind of for pussies, but I did Luka Doncic under 24.5 points. That is tonight against the Charlotte Hornets at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. The reason I decided to go with that is because I don't think that there is really necessity for Luka Doncic to go off. I know they talked about not doing a minutes restriction. We just had the All-Star break, so he's had a lot of time to rest. Probably going to play a lot of minutes, but I don't know. I feel like still might take a minute to get into the swing of things. Might not want to go all out just yet. So yeah, under 24.5 is my pick.
All right, yeah. And then for my pick, we're gonna go ahead and do Austin Reeves over 19.5 points. I believe it's gonna hit. I think Austin Reeves is a great player. He's gonna have to shine, especially with Luka coming in here, and that they're gonna make a big playoff run. So I think it's gonna hit. We're gonna put it down for $100 to win $487 dollars in general. So let's see if it works. We'll see if it happens. All right, last one we're gonna get to is hot takes. Basically, one of the co-hosts says something, says a hot take, and then me and the other co-host has to say if it's a hot take or not. Go ahead and we'll start with you, Nate.
All right, so my hot University of Illinois football to the college football playoffs next season. They're coming off. They got a lot of momentum right now. They're coming off the super hot season with 10 wins and a win in the best bowl game outside of the college football playoffs against South Carolina, which was considered one of the best teams, if not the best team, that was left out of the playoffs. And I think this team is retaining a lot of their big players, like Luke Altmaier, quarterback. We are losing two top receivers, and Zachary Franklin and Pat Bryant, but we're adding I can never remember his name, Hudson Clement from West Virginia. He had 700 plus yards and 5 touchdowns, which is pretty good. So I think he's the clear answer for the hole at the wide receiver number 1 position. Plus, you're adding 3 starting transfers from Wisconsin from their defense, and we're retaining our best DB in Xavier Scott. I think this team has only gotten better. And frankly, looking at the schedule, I can see 10 wins. I can totally see 10 wins being realistic. And I think with 10 wins in the Big Ten, you have a great argument for making it to the playoffs. So that's my hot take.
Yeah. I don't think that's a hot take. I think there's a lot of buzz about Illinois football, which I'm happy for. I think that if I was some fucking SEC lover, brainwashed dude, that would probably be a hot take because they, obviously don't know ball very much. But yeah, no, I think that there's a definite possibility next year. Obviously, like you said, they've got good recruits coming in. They've got good people coming back from injury. They got good people coming in from the portal. They're probably only going to get more. Luke Altmaier coming back. Probably going to be a top 3, top 2, maybe even top 1 QB in the conference. So I'm super excited. It's crazy that I have a much higher level of optimism for football than I do basketball. But yeah, no, I think it's a good take. Don't think it's a hot take.
I also just want to agree with Matt because just Nate, you've told me so much about Illinois football over the course of this semester. I've watched a lot of it and I've enjoyed watching it with you. And honestly, I can't say it's a hot take. Just I think it's the truth. I mean, Illinois football is progressing and I honestly just see them doing wonders in the future.
Yeah, my hot take is Mizzou basketball to the Elite 8. Don't really like Mizzou all that much. Obviously, we got the bragging rights game. Of course, we beat their ass again this year for the 2nd year in a row. But I like what I see about them. They got some great players. Caleb Grill has got an absolute torch. Mark Mitchell, transfer from Duke. I think he's a great player. Dennis Gates, I think, is a good coach, and what he's done to this Mizzou program in such a short time, I think it's very impressive. They're currently whooping Alabama's ass. They're at 57-43 right now in the first half as we speak. I mean, they have wins over Texas A&M. Sorry, Ole Miss. They beat Ole Miss by 8 points. They beat Florida, who's number 2 right now. They beat Florida on the road, albeit by only 1 point, but they still beat them. They played Alabama close. They kicked the shit out of Arkansas. They beat Mississippi State by almost 30 points. I mean, this is a team that has a lot of explosive potential. They play good, really. They don't just play good teams close. They play great elite teams very close, and they even beat them some of the time, about 50% of the time. If they get a favorable draw, or even if they don't need a favorable draw. This is a team that's good enough to make a run, whether they get a good draw or not. I think that draw could change how far they go, but I think the Elite 8 is at least where they're going to end up. Yeah, that's my hot take.
And yeah, I just think that it's a hot take in general, just because I don't know anything about Mizzou basketball. I mean, I think Mizzou might be all right. I'm not quite sure, but I mean, I'll say it's a hot take just because I don't know anything about Mizzou. I'm trying to learn more about college basketball in general, but
I think if you would have asked me that, if you had told me that after the bragging rights game when Illinois won on that game winner by Kasparis Yakachonis, I would have told you you're out of your mind. But they started SEC play, and they've been playing some great ball. And Matthew makes some good points. He makes a good argument with their resume. But I'm still going to go hot take.
all right, just real quick, my hot take is this. I believe the Pelicans sleep on Zion and they're going to get rid of him, and then he's going to make a big difference wherever he goes. I think Zion's a great player. I think Zion has a lot of potential, and I feel like the Pelicans are just getting tired of him not playing right now. They want him to sit. So I think they're going to get rid of him here very shortly, or in the near future here in the next couple years. Once they get rid of him and that contract's up, I honestly think they send him off somewhere. Wherever he goes, he makes a big difference. What do you guys think about that?
I was just gonna say, I agree. I think he will make, a big difference, considering how fucking huge he is. Um, and I'm gonna say it's a totally hot take because they paid him a ridiculous amount of money, and he never plays. I think moving to a new team, all jokes aside, he's just an injury-prone player. I think that's just the direction his career is going to go in, which sucks because he's super fun to watch, and I'm rooting for him. But I just don't know if he's going to be able to overcome that. So I think if the Pelicans move on from Zion, it might be the right thing to do. I don't see him making a giant difference like that on a different team just because of his health issues. I just don't.
Honestly, yeah, it's hard for me to say. Maybe a lukewarm take. I mean, I could see the Pelicans moving away from Zion. I mean, you'd say this, a couple years ago, I think it'd be tough to say, but now, I mean, the fact that he never fucking plays, the fact that he's 450 fucking pounds, I mean, I could definitely see it happening. So I'm gonna say a lukewarm take. I mean, maybe a change of scenery though is the perfect thing for Zion. I mean, if you get him in a city with some shitty food, I mean, it's a shame there's not a fucking NBA team in the UK. I mean, you see how they eat over there, fucking baked beans and fucking raw chicken. It's like you put him in a country with some shitty ass food, he's gonna lose a million fucking pounds. He's gonna be skinny. He's gonna be in shape. I mean, if that was possible, I have high hopes for Zion in the future. But yeah, I don't know where he could go. That would be a good influence. Allow him to build up some better habits. But we'll see. I think for now, I'm gonna say that's a lukewarm take. Just for the simple fact that, like Nate said, they signed him to a big contract, and I don't know what situation is going to be better. Like, I don't know what team. Obviously, some team probably would take a chance on him, just because of how much potential is there. But it's like how, who is that right situation, and how can they send him to a better situation while also getting enough in return for a player of Zion's caliber. So that's how I feel.
All right, that's going to end our podcast. If you guys do enjoy, like I said, man, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're on Instagram or TikTok, make sure you hit that follow button. I really do appreciate it. You guys have a good rest of your night. We'll see you guys in episode 3 of the What Man podcast. Peace.